This last section has to do with catalysis. It is very factual. What is a catalyst? Well, it's a substance that changes the rate of a chemical reaction but does not undergo a permanent chemical change. It will appear as both the reactant and the product in a mechanism, but it will not appear in the chemical reaction. A catalyst affects the numerical value of K. Therefore, we know it must alter the EA, and it also can change the frequency factor, not something we talk too much about in chemistry 1220. Well, here is our Arrhenius equation. There is the K, and there is the EA. When they drew the art for this book, here we have the red for the uncatalyzed reaction, and we have the blue for the catalyzed reaction, showing it has altered the activation energy. As a general rule, but not that you can see in this picture, a catalyst tends to alter the overall EA. A small quantity of catalyst gives a considerable amount of reaction. Now, I knew my chemistry going to industry, but one of my best friends was a catalyst chemist, and he said he could put in 1 part of catalyst and he could take out 1 million product molecules. I just didn't understand it, but that is because he was using a catalyst. Many commercial processes, like those that are polymers, they require catalysts in order to work. Sometimes we want to inhibit catalysts for aging, for tooth decay, and things like that. So it's a very, very, very broad area. One type of catalyst is a homogeneous catalyst, and it is in the same phase as a reactant. Think about all the biological systems we have. Those are homogeneous catalysts. Why do we talk about it first? Well, if I look at the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide, it occurs very, very slowly. But if I add some catalyst, and this picture from your text shows sodium bromide, what we will do is we will produce those oxygen bubbles. They will not occur in the absence of a catalyst. Again, everything is in the same phase. The other type of catalyst is a heterogeneous catalyst, and that is a different phase. Often these are metals, and they're used in industry. They have proposed 4 steps for this to occur. The first one is called adsorption, where a reactant will bind to an active site on a surface, and there'll be some kind of chemical force involved. The second is an activation, and that is when a molecule will orient in order to carry out a reaction. The third is the one you already know. That's a chemical reaction. But the mysterious or the amazing one is the desorption, where your product molecules leave and you're going to restart the cycle. So that's the artist's rendition of what is happening. Down comes your reactants. Here they are sitting on the surface. Here they are desorbing, and there is our product. Well, maybe I didn't say it quite right because I don't know. The picture doesn't match the words very well, but those are the 4 steps, okay? There can be inhibitors, and you can also call them poisons. They are going to interfere or they're going to reduce the effectiveness of a catalyst. Years ago, there was lead in gasoline. There was also sulfur in gasoline. And the sulfur, it would adsorb on the active sites and it would block the reaction of burning the fuel. So we went to unleaded fuels because they did not pollute the environment. What really came on our cars were things called automobile catalytic converters. They're often stolen out of cars because you can recycle the metals. But when you burn gasoline, what you're supposed to do is make things that aren't bad for the environment. But you can make carbon monoxide, NOx's, and you can also have unburned hydrocarbons. You need to oxidize the carbon. You need to reduce the NOx's. So what you're doing is you're converting those incomplete combustion products to oxygen, CO2, and nitrogen. Normally, it's on a honeycomb ceramic support. The thing that has amazed me is in your car, your tailpipe is at a very high temperature, the gases are moving at quite a rapid speed, and you can be driving over a bumpy road. You haven't had a whole lot of lab experience with the pandemic this term, but there's an awful lot that can go wrong in a reaction. To think that a catalyst can be effective under these conditions, pretty incredible, okay? We also want to mention as we depart this chapter enzymes, because enzymes function as catalysts in our body, and there are thousands of them. We all know that our bodies have a very stable temperature. I'll just say 98.6, but I know it varies quite a bit in order to maintain light. Those catalysts have to work under those conditions. They tend to be very large proteins, molecular weights on the order of 1 million, and they are specific. Absolutely specific sounds redundant, but they operate with only one substance in only one reaction. If you've taken some bio, think of those cycles. Once they thought these were like a lock and a key. Now they believe it is like heterogeneous catalysis, the most important step being the adsorption and the orientation. They believe some enzyme substrate conferences have a lifetime on the order of 10 to the minus 9 seconds, nanoseconds, and intermolecular forces like hydrogen bonding are involved. Again, if you're going down the biopath or in medicine, you'll learn a lot about this as you proceed. There are also enzyme inhibitors. These would be things like nerve poisons or toxic metal ions. Finally, to wrap up the chapter, a very amazing process called nitrogen fixation. That is where nitrogen goes to form ammonia. There are bacteria that produce an enzyme that can break that nitrogen-nitrogen triple bond on the order of over 900 kilojoules per mole. I'm sure you've seen this in your bio classes. The reason I'm mentioning this is because of the Impossible Burger, all right? On the roots of soy, there is hemoglobin, and it is an iron molybdenum cofactor of nitrogenase. When you cook it, it produces a heme, which is another iron-rich compound. And that's what gives quote-unquote bleeding to a veggie burger, and you can actually get a blood red color. Now this section, it was really very factual. You can go off in many directions with enzymes, but remember the point of this chapter. It was to introduce you to kinetics, not to make you an expert.